So here we are on the sixth day. So I studied the sixth day, and now I'm just gonna summarize it. And it's kind of legends. It's literally kind of Haz v'Shalom mythology or fairy tale, but that's what it sounds like. But I'll go with it again. It's the Torah. It's the Midrash Rabbah commentaries. Do not take this literally, but it's more figuratively. So let's see what's interesting here. There's a lot of interesting things. So there's repetition saying that the Leviathan is the king of the fish, the Ziz is the king of the bird, the Behemoth is the king of the mammals. The Behemoth matches Leviathan in strength, and he had to be prevented, like Leviathan, from multiplying and increasing else in the world, like we said. He is, and they talk about the behemoth, how monstrous he was, that he requires the produce of 1,000 mountains for his daily food. All the water that flows through the bed of the Jordan in a year suffices him exactly for one gulp. So that's a huge, again, this is mythological sizes. We're talking spiritual world. Where I don't even think we're talking the world that we live in. Doesn't make sense. The behemoth is also destined to serve to the pious as an appetizing dainty for the Mashiach. And this is interesting. And the pious will be permitted to view the mortal combat between Leviathan and Behemoth as a reward for having denied themselves the pleasures of the circus and its gladiatorial contest. So all those that then go to the Colosseum and to the rings and to the octagons and all these things, for some reason, as a reward to these pious people, they will see the end matchup between the Behemoth and the Leviathan, and like we studied, they both die. So now we're talking about other animals. The reem, who's also a gigantic animal. Let me see here, guys. There's an interesting thing later on, but I just want to make sure that I don't forget anything. Here it's also, there's one of the most remarkable creatures is the man of the mountain, called Adne Sadeh, or briefly Adam. His form is exactly that of a human being, but he is fastened to the ground by means of a navel string upon which his life depends. So this monster is huge, man shape, but he's stuck. He's attached to the ground by his navel cord, so like a baby. And if it snaps, he dies. So no creature may venture to approach within the radius of his cord, for he seizes and demolishes whatever comes in his reach. It's funny how all these animals are so destructive. To kill him, one may not go near him. The navel string must be severed from a distance by means of a dart. And then he dies amid groans and moans. So that's the mountain man. Among the birds, the phoenix is the most wonderful. So we all know the saying, the phoenix rises from the ashes. So listen to this, guys. When Eve gave all the animals some of the fruit of the tree of knowledge, after she had sinned with the snake, she wanted to bring others to sin. The phoenix was the only bird that refused to eat. And so he was rewarded with eternal life. When he has lived 1,000 years, his body shrinks and the feathers drop from it until he is as small as an egg. This is the nucleus of the new bird. So it's like the movie there, Benson Button or something, where you go from young to old and then from old to young and so forth. The phoenix is also called the guardian of the terrestrial sphere. He runs with the sun on his circuit, and he spreads out his wings and catches up the fiery rays of the sun. If he were not there to intercept them, neither man nor any other animate being would keep alive. So this is, and also on his right wing, there is a huge letters inscribed, neither the earth produces me, nor the heavens, but only the wings of fire. His food consists of the manna of heaven, and the dew of the earth. Again, they talk about describing it, but I won't go into it. If you guys want, I'll send you the screenshot. Also, the salamander. This day 6 talks about the salamander. They say one who smears himself with the blood of the salamander is invulnerable. King Hezekiah owes his life to the salamander. His wicked father, King Ahaz, had delivered him to the fires of Moloch. So he wanted to burn his own son, and he would have been burnt. And had his mother not painted him with the blood of the salamander, so that the fire could do him no harm. So if it's not for the mom who slathered his son with salamander blood, he would have died. Also the shamir. Shamir was made at twilight on the 6th day. That's very important because it's a worm that was used to cut wood, to cut stone, because for the building of the Beit HaMikdash, iron was forbidden. So iron tools were forbidden, as it says right here. The shamir was also used for hewing into shape the stones from which the temple was built, because the law prohibited iron tools to be used for the work in the temple. And it's a little worm, and it's a Shlomo HaMelech that took it. I'm going to find it right now. Give me 1 second. Yes, it's right here. The shamir was guarded in paradise until Shlomo HaMelech needed it. He sent the eagle thither to fetch the worm. And with the destruction of the temple, the shamir was destroyed. Well, not destroyed, but vanished. It disappeared. Also here, among the fishes are also wonderful creatures, the sea goats and the dolphins. So listen to this, guys. A sea-faring man, okay, one saw a sea goat of horns, okay, perfect. But the dolphins are half man and half fish. They even have intercourse with human beings. They are also called sons of the sea. I don't know if you guys remember, many times in the news, several years ago, we would hear where dolphins would literally sexually harass swimmers and snorkelers and divers and so forth. Like literally, they would want to have some sort of relation. So it's funny that I read it here, because indeed in the news, if you check it, you'll see many cases, many instances where dolphins actually wanna get together with humans. Also they're very protective of humans. Now they talk about cats and mice. This is very interesting. Why are they enemies? So why are cats and mice enemies? At first they weren't. On the occasion the mouse appeared before God and spoke, I and the cat are partners, but now we have nothing to eat. The Lord answered, thou art intriguing against thy companion, only that thou mayest devour her. As a punishment she shall devour thee. So the mouse tried to be smart like the moon, asking God about the sun. So the punishment was that the cat would eat the mouse. Now there's the dog and the cat. So a dog and a cat were partners, and they shared with each other whatever they had. It happened that neither could find anything to eat for 3 days. Thereupon the dog proposed that they dissolve their partnership. The cat should go to Adam Arishon, and the dog would seek his fortune elsewhere. Before they separated, the cat and the dog, they took an oath never to go to the same master. So the cat went to Adam, and she found sufficient mice in his house to satisfy her appetite. Seeing how useful she was in driving away and extirpating mice, Adam treated her most kindly. The dog, on the other hand, saw bad times, The first night after this, he spent in the cave of the wolf who had granted him a night's lodging. At night, the dog caught the sound of steps and he reported it to his host, to the wolf, who bade him repulse the intruders. They were wild animals. Little lacked and the dog would have lost his life. The dog decided to leave the wolf and he went to the monkey. But the monkey said no. He would not grant him even a single night's lodging. So then the dog went to the sheep. And again the dog heard steps in the middle of the night, obeying the bidding of his host. He arose to chase away the marauders, who turned out to be wolves. But the problem, the barking of the dog apprised the wolves of the presence of sheep, so the dog innocently caused the sheep's death. His only friend died. Night after night he begged shelter without ever finding a home. Finally he decided to go where? To Adam Arishon. And Adam agreed. He granted him refuge for one night. And when wild animals approached the house under cover of darkness, the dog began to bark. Adam awoke, and with his bow and arrow, he drove them away. So Adam saw that the dog had a usefulness. He keeps bad things away, evil away. So he decided to keep him. But the cat wasn't happy. She began to quarrel with him. Adam did his best to pacify the cat, but nothing. He told her he had himself invited the dog, and even the dog said, I won't touch your food. I won't I won't envy you. You have your spot here. But the cat was not appeased. Even the dog, like I said, promised her not to touch anything until she insisted that she cannot live in one and the same house with a thief like the dog. So finally the dog could stand it no longer, and he left Adam's house and he went to Seth. And Seth welcomed the dog kindly. He continued to make efforts at reconciliation with the cat in vain. Yes, the enmity between the first dog and the first cat was transmitted to all their descendants until this very day. So this is a nice story to tell your kids. Once again, it's a story, it's a mashal. So we see here that cat and dog and cat and mice, how it all started. Then the legend of the Jews, Midrash Rabbah, talks about physical peculiarities of certain animals. One that I found interesting is the raven. A raven is like a crow, it's black. And I saw it yesterday and I noticed. And it's funny how it's mentioned here in the Midrash. When Noah desired to send them forth to find out the state of the waters, he hid under the wings of the eagle. So the raven is another animal that changes its appearance. So Noah found him, however, and said to him, go and see whether the waters have diminished. The raven pleaded, he's like, has no none other among all the birds to send on this errand? Like, you couldn't send somebody else? My power extends no further than over thee and the dove. But the raven was not satisfied. He said to Noah with great insolence, thou sendest me forth only that I may meet my death, and thou wishest my death, that my wife may be at thy service. So Noah cursed the raven, made thy mouth, which has spoken evil against me, be accused, and thy intercourse with thy wife be only through it. So again, all the animals in the ark said amen, and this is the reason why a mass of spittle runs from the mouth of the male raven into the mouth of the female during the act of copulation, and only thus the female is impregnated. Also, another thing is his walk. The awkward hop in his gait. And that I saw yesterday, and I'm like, wow, that's interesting. So he observed the graceful step of the dove and envied and tried to emulate the dove, how she was so graceful. So by practicing, he almost broke his bones, and without even succeeding, not even the least bit. And then he decided to return to his own original gait. But in the interval, he had unlearned it. So whatever he used to do, he doesn't know. Whatever he tried to do to be graceful, he doesn't know. So his step had become a hop betwixt and between. So you see him take steps. It's funny how he walks. If you see a raven walk, it's because of that. Yoshua bin Nun was known to be an exceedingly heavy man. How do we know that? Because neither the horse, the donkey, or the mule could carry him, could bear his weight. They all broke down under his weight. It was the steer. The steer is an animal, and originally the steer, his face was entirely overgrown with hair, but now there's none on his nose. And that is because Yoshua kissed him on his nose during the siege of Jericho. So it's a reward, a gratitude bestowed upon him that he became a prettier animal with no hair bothering his eyes and so forth. The serpent, which is the most cunning animal of all, we all know that he was also very clever. He would stand upright. He had extraordinary size. But then with the sin, he lost his mental advantage and degenerated physically. So we know that he has no feet and he has no taste buds. And that's the serpent. After Adam had committed the sin of disobedience, God delivered the whole of the animal world into the power of the angel of death. And he ordered him to cast one pair of each kind into the water. He and Leviathan together thus have dominion over all that has life. So we're talking about the Leviathan again. I think we've done that enough. And that's it. And we'll finish with the fox. The fox is also one very clever animal. So just to finish the fox, so the angel of death was ordered to cast one pair of each kind into the water, like we said. So he goes to the fox and he sees the fox weeping bitterly. He's crying. So the angel of death asked him the reason of his tears, and the fox replied that he was mourning the sad fate of his friend. At the same time, he was pointing to the figure of a fox in the sea, which was obviously nothing but his own reflection. So the angel of death, persuaded that the representative of the fox family had already been cast into the water, he let him go free. The fox told his trick to the cat, and she in turn played it on the angel of death. So it happened that neither cats nor foxes are represented in the water, while all the other animals are. So that's how smart the fox was. He tricked the angel of death, showing him, convincing him that he had already lost his mate into the water, and the reflection that was his, he made the angel of death think that it was the other fox that died. And we're going to continue another time.